big,
Morning.
if you want to print it out for me, I would, but when I saw 36 pages, it would have taken a half hour. Oh, 39. I printed it out.
I just wanted to congratulate and thank Chris Thornton for being voted by the selectmen on Monday night, and also thank Gene for coming in to help me out so that Chris could have some support, not only by planning board members, but also if there are any questions by the selectmen regarding the role of an associate member. And thank you very much. We've been looking for an associate member now for a good part of the year.
I congratulate him just for volunteering.
Yeah, and now it filled it. I know that Chris.
And you just have to ask the chairman when you can vote, because that's what.
Well, that's a, yeah.
So Cliff was just going over that with me.
Cliff was the most experienced member in terms of the chairmanship.
I used to ask him every time.
Yeah. Can I vote this one?
But I just want to congratulate you and thank you for
Thank you. I
coming on
appreciate
board.
the support.
Do you have anything to say?
No, just I'm anxious to get started and help out where I can.
And I think your background and experience is an asset to the board. You know, your
I hope so.
experience in real estate and so forth. So appreciate you coming on board. Do you want to say anything about public hearings, Katrina?
We have no public hearings tonight.
Okay. Thank you. I'll take a little pause here while our review consultant Larry Graham comes in, from Graham Associates. We have, I think people have read the agenda. It's to go through kind of a list of items. It's kind of like some house cleaning here, housekeeping. Wild Pasture Estates, George Alakos, and Larry has checked. Do you want to say anything about that? Is Jim here?
No.
No? I don't think, okay.
Yeah.
So Wild Pasture Estates, Jim Jurkolak has a modification request on our conditions dating back pretty far back, right? 2000.
Yeah.
So regarding granite curbing, so you want to elaborate?
It's not granite curbing, it's granite bounds
Thanks.
that marking the right-of-way line.
Yeah.
And they asked for a reduction to use a 4-inch by 4-inch by 48-inch bound versus a 6x6. My reply to that was, as long as they could set the bounds flush with the ground, so we didn't have a good part of that bound up above the ground, because as the dimension gets smaller, the granite actually gets weaker, and you can really shear them right off. So under the condition that they can set them flush with the ground, I recommend the board accept that. If they can't, then I recommend they go back to the 6-inch by 6-inch section. And then I got an email today that they wanted to go to a 4-inch by 4-inch by 36-inch, 3-inch. And I, as much as said, that's not industry standard, as they had said. So stay with the 48-inch, and I recommend the board approve that.
How many bounds are there?
There's about 100 of them, a lot of them. Yeah.
This goes back to, Larry has a letter here that's dated March 25th. Fred Ford at W.C. Kemet asking on behalf of Jim George Jalakis, consideration of reduction in granite bound dimensions. As Larry mentioned, where 6x6 by 48 granite bounds are required. The request is for use of 4x4 by 48s. Given the numerous bounds to be set in the subdivision, I'm willing to modify the R&R specifications with the board's concurrence as follows. So what we're voting on, use of the 4x4 by 48 granite bounds with a 1/2 inch drill hole and magnet set therein, approved providing, as you were saying, the entire 48 inches buried.
Correct.
And the 48 bound top is set flush to not more than 6 inches below the finished surface. If any of the bounds 48-inch length is or needs to be exposed, set above finished grade, a 6x6 by 48 bound must be placed. Again, this is what we're voting on. Any discussion?
Just point out that this is a special permit project, so I guess this is something Chris can vote on.
Thank you
Because
for
it's a
pointing that out.
modification of a special permit.
So it is a modification. And again, Katrina has a
It would have to be a
available.
minor modification.
Yeah.
Right.
And you would construe this as a minor modification?
I would, yes.
Okay. Um,
Make a motion that we accept Larry's recommendations as stated.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous
And
vote.
since Cliff mentioned, you probably should vote that it is a minor modification as well. You should probably vote that.
I make a motion to consider this as a minor
Sure, wait.
modification.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So not only it's unanimous as to minor modification, and also the details as stated in the informative letter dated March 22nd by our review engineer in response to what Camet Engineering's request. The second is 314, 320 Weathersfield Street. Review of the required roof infiltration system. The board received a report from H.L. Graham dated 3/11/2013, which confirmed that the submitted and revised roof infiltration plans for 314, 320 Weathersfield Street meet condition number 7 of the board's May 17, 2007 special permit decision. Accordingly, a memo from the town planner is reported to the building inspector, Kenneth Ward, to serve as notice since the applicant has met condition number 7. They are free to pursue a building permit. Katrina, do you have anything more to say about this?
I don't, you can look at attachment L,
Which we have?
which is just a quick
Okay, Al, the
memo,
bottom of the 90 pages.
quick memo from me to Ken, letting him know that, the applicant, can apply for building permits.
The memo is dated April 3rd, 314 through 320 Weathersfield Street. Just want to elaborate, it's housing. It's
Do you want me to read
there's
it?
3 houses. No, well, you can read the letter, yeah, good.
It's a letter from myself to Ken Ward, CCing Cindy Patrickin, regarding 314, 316, 320 Weathersfield Street. And it says, this letter shall serve as notice that condition number 7 of the planning board's May 17, 2007 special permit decision for the common driveway serving 314, 316, and 320 Weathersfield Street has been met by the applicant. Please see attached letter dated March 3rd, 2013 from H.L. Graham. Thus, the applicant is now free to pursue building permits for the proposed dwellings on 314, 316, and 320 Weathersfield Street.
Larry, do you have any comment on your letter to elaborate?
No
The letter is
comment.
dated March 3rd, 2013.
No comment.
Does anybody want me to read it, or you guys can all read it?
No action is necessary on this.
All right, so that's, thank you, Larry. Are these houses going up pretty well? I mean,
No, I don't think that any of them have been started yet.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Not
that's
to my
good.
knowledge.
Okay. Number 3 is Sheehan Estates, Gerzac Lane, construction completion. Has everybody read on number 3 on the staff report?
I don't have it.
Yeah, you're kind of playing catch up on this. Katrina, do you want to give a brief summary?
Sure.
This is our attachments B and C. Just to elaborate, you can say attachments B and C, people can read from not only email correspondence between the town administrator, Stevie Egan, and Katrina O'Leary, our planner, and also some input from Judith Pickett, the town attorney.
Right, which is attachment
And
B.
also earlier correspondence that goes back quite a ways from Mr. Joe Pellich. So.
Right, and that correspondence is important because it shows a paper trail. Because what the planning board may have to consider now is taking the surety we hold for the remainder of the items left uncompleted on Gerzac Lane. This past winter, we did, the board's technical consultant, myself, and I believe 1 or 2 planning board members were there. I think you were there, meeting with Joe Pellich, the developer. We did try and get him involved and bring him back to finish. It ended up, he's unable to finish it. I don't think he has the capital, or I'm not sure what the reasoning is, but it looks like the town, the board may want to consider voting to take the surety. However, before then, I would advise the board to possibly have 2 or 3 members sit down with town council, the town administrator, and myself, the board's technical consultant, so that we can talk about the pros and cons.
Two members.
Or 2 members, right? Not a quorum. To talk about the pros and cons and decide if the right thing to do is to take the surety. The problems that we may run into is that we have to use prevailing wage rates. And so we have to look at the list of items left to complete carefully to decide what can be done and what cannot be done. So at this point, I would just suggest maybe authorizing 1 or 2 members, putting together a meeting so we can talk about the pros and cons, and then possibly at a future date, the board can formally vote to take the surety, if that's what they decide to do.
Yeah, and just to add to what Katrina said, I mean, I think we have options. We have tried from the inception since last spring when Skurzak, obviously was appealing to the town for, some kind of mechanism and some kind of procedure to get this project back on track. Mr. Graham, Larry Graham, our review consultant, came up with an estimate that was within the parameters of the surety that we had. But that was based on Mr. Pellich finishing the project. By law, we have to have a revised, because of the bidding process and so forth, using prevailing wage, which normally, Larry, would you agree does that jump the cost?
Yes.
And if, in theory, it did jump the cost, and the town, and consider this, as we go forward, that we may be in a position where, the $22,000 surety may not cover the remaining items. Is that we're still in the process of coming up with
Yes, I haven't completed that 2-part punch list. Part 1 will be what I believe we could do with prevailing wage rates for the remaining surety, and part 2 would be what I feel in conjunction with Ron Keefe. Is that his last name?
Yes,
Yeah.
Keith.
Ron Keefe with the Highway Department. Additional items which would be nice to do, but don't have to be done for public safety and all that. So there'll be a 2-part punch list. And I think that's what you need before, as Katrina suggested, a couple of you sit down with selectmen. So that's on my to-do list.
Yeah, Katrina and I have, obviously, and any other input from other board members is certainly people who, because this project precedes my tenure here.
How
So Gina,
long does it go back? I'm looking
I
at
think it was
clips.
2000.
It was a long,
Yeah.
I think it was right after I became a board member, they filed their subdivision plan, but it was about 15 years ago.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
All right, thanks, Larry. So that would obviously be a prerequisite before we would have this joint meeting to discuss options and get input from the relevant parties to discuss what maybe is the best route before we actually have a formal vote
I
in
didn't
this
know if the board wanted to
in this
decide.
board. Well, I'm just saying, does anybody have any problems or any issues with having the planning board technical consultant, Katrina, the town planner, a couple reps, the town administrator, and town council to meet after town meeting, discuss the options?
I wonder if you really need 2 reps, it seems to me 1 is.
No,
fine.
okay, 1 or 2, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm in town, so I'm available as long as.
I would be willing to, because obviously I've had some
Yeah.
discussions with Katrina about this, and
Okay.
well, that's fine too, obviously 1 or 2.
FYI, the pre-construction meeting was September of '01.
Thanks, yeah, so that precedes a lot of it. So anybody have any problem with that? I proceeded with Katrina to try to set this up. I believe our town council believes this may be a viable and important way to get. And you can read, please read, and Katrina's staff report and the associated materials is a really, you know, there's quite a bit there from, in terms of trying. I think Katrina's worked very hard to contact Mr. Pellich, have him come to the office, and also look within the construct of state and town guidelines in terms of how we can use the surety to complete the project in relationship to what's the role of the developer and what's the role of the town going forward. I don't think we want to jump and be hasty in terms of taking surety till we definitely know what we're facing. So that's all.
Can I
I
just
was going to
ask-
ask you next.
No, thank you.
Can you introduce you?
I'm Barbara Gerzak, and I was wondering what other things that need to be done? What is left?
Can I have your address?
Mm-hmm. It's 11 Gerzak Lane. Would you like me to spell Gerzak?
No, I
Do you want to just give kind of a general?
Yeah.
There's already been one list, but that list didn't use prevailing wage.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, I know we went over this last year.
There's two plans that need to be done, a street acceptance plan for the selectmen to take the street and the easements, and an as-built plan, which shows all the as-built conditions of the infrastructure. There's the water service to your house that needs to be done. There's at least 2 broken curb inlets within the subdivision. I think they're both further back behind your driveway. The granite inlets over the top of the catch basins. The catch basins, the drain manholes and the pipes need to be cleaned before the town accepts them. There's a few spots in the pavement that need to be looked at and perhaps repaired. There's a fairly large spot in the sidewalk around a granite bound that needs to be repaired. And there's probably half a dozen to a dozen trees that need to be replaced. That's generally a thumbnail sketch of what needs to be done.
Okay. Doesn't seem like a huge list.
It's not a huge list, but as was said at the table this evening, it's been impossible to get the original developer to come back and do those things. He just hasn't responded. So
Well, where is his bond money?
it is a cash deposit, I believe, in the town.
From what he told me, he got his bond money back.
He got part of it back.
Why? Why, if the project wasn't signed off, why did he get the bond money?
Well, at the time that he got part of it back, the list was much shorter, and he could have finished what he had to do with what was left. But that's been probably, I don't know if your paperwork tells you, but 5-6 years ago. So
It's a long time ago. Yeah.
If I may respond to you, state law says that we can only hold an amount of surety commensurate with the items left to be done in the subdivision, and so usually it's reduced as work is completed in the project, and that was what was done in this case.
And the process is a formal request and proof through either inspection or affidavits from the engineer that works with the developer that it's actually been completed.
No.
It's not something like, oh, I want my money back by Delphi. No, it's a formal process.
Well, I would imagine it would be, yeah.
Robert, yeah, so just keep, just keep working with us. I mean,
Okay.
and with, if you certainly are input with Katrina, and stay in touch with Katrina, please, our town planner.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to go directly through the town planner than have it kind of filter from, if it's a central office legal issue, you can do that, but if it's a construction issue and the planning board process, please do it through the planner. Thanks.
Yeah, we've been in touch.
Mhm.
We almost got
Thanks for
to
coming.
hooking you up to the new,
Okay.
the water line.
Yes, he came to my house.
Right.
And then the water board went.
Excuse me, I have something to say. My name's Jim Carter and I live in number 20
Yeah,
Gerzak
spell
Lane.
your last name, please.
Cotter.
Thanks.
And what is the
Alright.
address?
20 Gerzak Lane. Our streetlights got shut off about 2 years ago,
Mhm.
so that they're not gonna be turned back on. I mean, until this whole thing is resolved. We have, I have
The
3
developer is responsible, the residents, it's a private road for providing the infrastructure and paying the bills to the town utilities.
It's not a public safety issue at all with having absolutely no streetlights out there and children running around out
I
there.
think that did they not keep, I'm not sure.
They were they were on, when I bought the home, they were on. I've been there for 7 years, and they've been on, and up until 1 year ago, they shut them off. So if they were never on, then I bought them, they were never on. But they've been off, they've been on,
For how long?
oh Jesus, how long?
Been a couple of
5 or
years.
6 years they've been on, they just got
No,
shut off.
but when were they shut off?
Year and a half
Couple of
ago.
years, yeah. Well,
I think we're
now
continuing
we-
to look into that, I mean,
No, it's
I'm
because
not-
the developer stopped paying the bill.
yeah,
Right.
I'm not saying that it's not or it is a public safety issue, I mean,
I mean,
because streetlights in a rural town, some people construe it as a public safety issue, some people don't want one even near them, so.
As the residents of the street, though, I understand what what you do. I do construction for for a living.
That's
I
right,
own
you
a
said that,
business.
I remember that.
So, but my thing is though, we bought the street, we bought the house, the lights were on, we're paying our taxes, why should we be paying the price? I understand the other stuff that they're not gonna release the street, but I've been dealing with this for a year now, and I think I've spoken to this woman for once or twice on the phone.
Katrina earlier.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and a year ago, I think we spoke, you're like, oh, we'll get this resolved next spring. That was last fall.
It just doesn't resolve itself. Well, we've been at, this is, a lot of the burden is on the entities that undertook the subdivision from the beginning. And you may have bought, into the subdivision at some point, while it was still under the purview and under the control of the developer and the associated people who are associated with it. At that point, they were under conditions that were set by the planning board. And that's the planning board's role. The burden is on the developer coming to get these partial releases of surety. State law allows us to keep various types of surety to ensure that we don't get stuck holding the bag for items that are unfinished. But the planning board coming back into the process after the parties exit the process is quite difficult. Okay, so it's not something that you can just immediately wrap up without quite a bit of work. Our goal is to get the road accepted, that's what we're on.
Right, and it's not up to us to turn the lights on or off. I mean, that's really not something that we can do.
I know if I had known that, I wouldn't even have came here and wasted your time.
Well, I'm not saying
That's
wasted
No,
what-
you're not wasting
That's
time,
why-
I want the
why-
input, no, this is a public.
Imagine you had 3 kids out there running around and there's no lights for
Right.
them to play. I mean, I spent a lot of money on that home. Father, I could have bought a house, I think you told me the street that you live on has no lights, which is, when I bought the house, if there was no lights, that's how I bought the house. But the minute I bought that house, the tax bill started coming right away and I paid them with no questions
Sure.
asked.
No, we understand your concern.
You know what I mean?
It's a
We
common
do.
one that people
Yeah.
have in these unfinished subdivisions.
And she said that it happens a lot, which is surprising
Well-
too, yeah, but.
No, I wouldn't say a lot, but it has happened. And we work hard as a planning board when we reinsert ourselves into the process. Now that we have a plan and we have someone to kind of be the quarterback, facilitator, we're working hard. Our goal is the same as yours.
Right.
And
It
I
is.
do have to tell you, the priority of the board may have been to get the street accepted. When I got this job last year, I was asked, please get the street lights on. And so that has been my priority, to get those street lights turned back on, even before it's
Yes, sir.
accepted.
Sure.
And I've tried very hard, it's really difficult, because we have to go through the right process. The bill outstanding is only about $350.
Yeah.
At the lighting plate, that's all that has to be paid.
But you also-
Unfortunately, we can't use the
you-
surety to pay that bill.
Right.
You also have to see the position of the various utility companies.
Oh, I do.
That
We
they're
never
not,
done and spoken
they're not
about.
in a position to set a precedent whereby they can give out free utilities. Whether it be water, electricity, they certainly give a number of months to kind of help work things out. It's not like they shut it off after 30 days, but,
Right.
um,
The ladies, I've been, again, this issue is, I've been dealing with this for over a year and a half. And I've been down to the light department, I've been down to town hall, and after, you know, I finally gave up hope, and I started speaking with Katrina about a year, not even a year ago, last fall, right after she had started. And I was thinking that this was gonna be, you know, this was gonna help us out, but this has been a long road of a nightmare for me and these guys who also live on the street. I mean, it took me 2 years to get my order of conditions with something that Joe Pellich was supposed to take care of. That was in my mortgage arrangement with him, that he would do it, and he never did it. So I had to lean on the house for 2 years, so believe me, I understand what you're up against. I want my kids to be able to go down and play with lights and that.
these are, it's not the planning board's role
Right.
to set that kind of precedent. However, we have spent a lot of resources in our planners' time, our own time as jointly as volunteers, but we don't intend to give up on it. We're not walking away.
Well, the best thing we can do for you is to get the street accepted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's the only way these lights will get turned on?
I don't know if it's the only way, but
You can
They
pay the
do want
bill.
That's that to my knowledge right now.
I feel like I do every month when
No.
I pay my mortgage,
No.
I do.
Right.
No, to my knowledge, at this point, until I know otherwise, we're working towards not necessarily a piecemeal approach. We'll prioritize what needs to be done. We're working with the engineer to make sure that the road can get in a position to be accepted with the surety that's in place. And it's been complicated by the fact that we have a developer who, in spite of our efforts to reach out, and I think as neighbors and people who have been involved with him in the past, we certainly are not in a position to make any judgment about people's ability to finish or not finish projects. Our goals is simply to follow the rules that we set in the beginning, to work with our engineer, and to get it done in a timely fashion, but we cannot have antiquated, wrong plans that don't, they have to reflect what's been done after it's been done. You know, these are not theoretical as-bills. They actually reflect what's really been done. You can't have, I mean, what happens when the road falls apart in 2 years?
I don't know, I hope.
That's gonna be your,
That's better than what happened with the lights. They don't tell me that the road hasn't been accepted, it's not, they're never gonna fix it.
well, that's not, I mean, there are a number of people involved when you get a mortgage to buy a house. And there's title searches and there's certain prerequisites for, you know, and the ability of you to do your research and your lawyer to do your research and your broker to do the research.
I've already, after this happened, she actually said the same exact thing you said, and I went back to my attorney who closed on the mortgage, is a good friend of mine, and she went back into my mortgage, and there's nothing in my original mortgage that said anything about the street might not be accepted. It was nothing in there that she noticed. So, I mean.
Well, we intend to get in that position where it will be accepted. We're not gonna give up till that happens.
Okay.
So,
Question.
but right now, we're using town resources and not the developer's resource.
My name's Kevin Burrell, 25. Do you have a time frame when things might happen?
We might have a better time frame after we have a joint meeting with the parties that, as I mentioned, to look at the legal ramifications, the engineering ramifications, the
Sure.
state law there's a number of factors that have to be brought together to
Jot this
bear.
down, and when will that be, when you get together?
I can
Roughly.
explain the list of things that, did you just ask it? Or
Yeah.
did you just
No, I
ask the
did,
question?
yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't see.
Yeah.
First, we get the cost estimate.
Yep.
Then we have a meeting with the town administrator, town council, planning board, technical consultant. The planning board will vote if they decide to take the
Sure.
surety.
Understand.
Once we take the surety, then we have to put together a bid package. We have to go out to bid and hire a
Understand.
contractor to come in
Sure.
and finish the subdivision.
Mhm.
Part of that will go towards having an engineer do acceptance plans,
Sure.
as-built plans. Once that happens, if it's possible, if we have a fall town meeting and it's possible to have streets accepted at fall town meeting, it could be as early as that. If not, it would be next year at spring town meeting. And so, best case scenario is this fall.
Is the town plowing your street?
Oh yeah, it took them a couple of years to finally do
Oh,
that.
that's good.
If there's a fire, there's water in the fire hydrants, right? They'll put the fires out on the hose anyway.
Well, I don't, okay, well, unless the city, yeah, I wanna keep it relevant, I wanna go on to the next item, so. Keep coming to the meetings, keep communicating with us, we're not, you know,
We can.
I
get a-
certainly, I've tried with phone calls and our planner has tried, Mr. Graham has tried.
So Katrina will have be a person that can provide updates.
Yeah,
Can
you
you
just
sure.
keep it,
you have contact information somewhere, Katrina?
I don't have my cards with me, but
Would
do you,
you like to
have you ever,
keep-
oh,
Write
sure.
your email on there and your
Yeah.
contact number?
Do you know what, have you ever gone to the town website? The
You have
planning.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty
No,
good.
it's not a Katrina website, it's a
Oh.
Town Valley website.
Yours may be more interesting.
She's up, I can't remember my number.
5549 Katrina.
Oh.
Thank you.
You wanna give a quick overview of your hours?
Oh, 8 to 1:30, Monday through Thursday. Do you do email?
Yes.
All right, do you want me to put my?
Yeah, I don't do anything but email actually.
You don't do anything
You
by
don't do?
email?
Oh,
Then use the
okay.
telephone number.
Yeah, telephone.
No, I said anything but email.
Only
Oh.
he emails.
You only, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't
the,
know how to, I
I'm
don't know
a,
how to dial telephone numbers. Too young for that. Thank you so much.
Can I ask one or two more
There you
additional
go.
quick questions on that?
The public meeting.
Nico Brancleone, 14 Gerzac Lane,
You're killing it with the last name.
Brancaleone. So if the town road does, if the project does become complete, does that mean the lights get turned on immediately, or are they still gonna try to get that $350 from the builder? I mean, who's responsible for that money?
We
I
will
don't-
check,
that is an unanswered question right now.
we will check with the town council on that.
And also, I don't speak for the light department.
No, I understand.
That's not our role to.
That electric bill, the league, I went down to the light department a couple times. It's $24 a month is what it costs to light that street.
So he didn't.
How
pay
many
it-
streetlights are there?
2.
He didn't pay
It's
it
a
for
small
long
street.
time.
There's one down to Mrs. Gerzak's and there's one in the circle. It's a
There's one at
cul-de-sac.
the end as well, right? Is that ours?
There might be 3 of them. I think 2 of them
There's
only.
more than two.
But say there's 3 of them. But I spoke to them down there and they said about $24 a month for that electric bill.
All right, well, continue to go to them and work with them right now. We have issues in terms of engineering issues and construction issues that are prerequisite to get the road accepted. And that's state law, so.
If more things go wrong with the road, does that, I guess that adds to the list, right?
Well, if we went another 10 years, yeah, something might.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm afraid of.
Once
No,
the-
I'm just saying, yeah, I mean, over time, I mean, obviously, things.
Once the town accepts it, then the town.
Right, town's
takes it.
responsible.
Responsible.
Then the town's responsible.
But there is a list now.
I know some of
But
those
developers
trees
are responsible for building it according to the plans and according to the conditions that are set when they come in to get permission to build the development. So, all right, I really.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Thanks.
time,
Continue
gentlemen
to- yeah.
and ladies.
Look on the website, the agendas are posted,
Thank you.
minutes are posted. If not, Katrina. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Downriver Ice Cream is more an informative thing. Larry, you want to go through that quickly? It basically, go ahead, will you?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say other than that I've been reviewing revised plans. I think I've looked at revised plans.
That's an updated site plan, right?
Yeah, updated site plan, about 3 revisions and reports back to the board. And those revisions were coming as the engineer was trying to work out permission from Mass DPW, Mass DOT, to get their ingress and egress squared away. So they finally were successful, I believe, in getting the permit from Mass DOT.
And there is information to back this up, you guys can read it all, it's numbered, it's D.
Yep.
And they also got permission to open with some conditions of not actually finishing the curb work. They got permission to get a occupancy permit and finish it later.
And the state is going to allow a row of a hedge or something similar to that?
Yeah, that's not on their right of way. Well, it actually is on their right of way, but they never had any comment about that I know of. So as far as I know, they're going to put the hedgerow in.
Okay.
They said no fence. I don't think they ever had a comment about the hedgerow.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really see it,
Well, the hedgerow, the vegetation is shown on the plan, right?
Yeah, I'm just talking,
Yeah.
it's not really in the DOT comment.
No.
Or, sorry, that permit.
But we had required a fence, but the state said no.
The state said no on the fence, but they've never said anything
Yeah,
about this.
they're kind of sensitive about the specs for what could be construed as some kind of guardrail.
Right.
So there's no action required by us. I think just to take note that the town planner has requested that money be reinserted in the amount of $500 into the inspection and the account, an amount recommended by the town review agent and in consult with the town planner. And it's kind of an ongoing process, but it's coming down to the point where I believe the proponent will be asking for occupancy permits, so we just want to make sure that the funds are up to date, and that adequate funds have been forwarded so that final inspection as a prerequisite for occupancy permit can be completed. So that's all.
I actually recommended back in February 11th that at the next board meeting, the board reviewed the last two reports, now it's three, the revised plans, and put on record the board's approval of the recent revisions. So I don't think it has to be a vote, but I think it should probably be put in the record that you're aware of these revisions because of Mass DOT's review, and basically you accept them. So that when it comes time for Katrina to sign off, she's really signing off.
You want to vote?
So you're recommending
Well, I think people,
approval of all this?
Yeah, yeah, acceptance of the revisions that were created by DOT's review.
yeah, and also,
They're all in attachment D.
yeah, and the acquisition of a DOT permit to actually,
Yeah.
to do the work
Yeah.
with the conditions set by
Yeah,
the
that would be
DOT.
good too. Yeah.
Make a note that I recuse myself.
Okay. All right, so David Jake with his recuse himself. You want to just take note, or we need to vote?
I don't think we need to.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks, Larry. And these were dated by Neve, John Neve,
More.
Moore and Associate, Neve and Moore and Associate, 3/1 and 3/11. Say there was a third one?
There is a third report of mine dated March 11th. It's actually report number 5 dated March 11th.
Okay, yep. Report number 5 dated March 11, 2013. And that was after Larry received the DOT permit number 4/2013-0133, issued to the property owners in behalf of Amy.
And could I just add one thing? That Larry, I'm not sure you realize that the applicant does not want to replenish the funds. She wants to pay the bills as they come. And I've
Okay.
explained to her that we need to have the funds in the account before we get the bill.
Mhm.
And so I'm just hoping that you know, if they do ask you to go out and do another inspection, we have to wait until we get the funds before that's done, because
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I presume that the board, and maybe they should take that action tonight, will want me to do some inspection to see that the plan that they approved is being implemented.
they haven't asked for it yet, but I'm sure.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm
Yeah, it'll
surprised they
probably
haven't
come
at
up,
this
so-
point.
Yeah.
But we can't do it that way. We can't
Right.
wait for the applicant to pay us.
Right now, the bond account is in arrears, so I would like it to be in a situation where it's not in arrears, based on your last inspection, because it went from 23 and pending the bill that needs to be paid, it's in arrears. So that's why we asked for a modest replenishment, and then we could return that money.
Yeah, but Katrina's just saying they won't do that.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
just saying
maybe I
what
misunderstood.
I'm just saying what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. I've already made her aware too. I said, we
Oh,
can't do
okay.
it that way.
Oh, okay, I
And so
misunderstood.
it won't come as a surprise to her when you say, I'm sorry, I can't go out and do an inspection.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood.
No, we want, yeah, that's all.
Okay.
It's been emailed, I mean, that's been the request. Does anybody have a problem with that request?
Well, we're gonna meet.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so that's, that's going to be our process, based on, you can see what just occurred after 10. All right, so this, the next thing is on the agenda as we get through here. Residences at our Raleigh Country Club, site inspections at 237 Dodge Road.
I'm back on the board.
Okay.
David's not recused anymore.
Actually, I probably should recuse myself because I bought the country club.
There's no action on this.
Okay.
No, it's more of an informative thing. The planning board's consultant and the developer have come to an agreement on the site inspection schedule. There's a 3/11/13 letter from H.L. Graham. The applicant has submitted a check for $5,000 for an account balance of $4,280. You have anything to say, Larry?
I don't know if you want an update or not about what's going on.
I do.
Yeah.
Up there, a lot of good work actually, I think. The contractor, I've had a good communication with Ralph DiGiorgio, who you folks know from the permitting process, and his partner Ralph, I can't remember his last name right now. Our foreman, Mike
Matthew?
Nicoloso, Nicolosis on the job. They have another site engineer, Tim, I can't remember his last name, but anyway, a lot of good communication.
Are you going to submit those when you're by an email, so for the minutes?
Submit.
It's the last,
What?
these other people. Instead of just saying, I can't remember the last name.
They're
Follow.
in my reports, I
As
think
long
all
as-
the last names are
That's
in
what I
my
thought.
reports.
Okay, that's cool, just.
But I just wanted to give the board an update on what, I get a plan that might be better to look at. Yeah, let's just look at the overall. Okay. You may recall, I'm just gonna kind of skip around in my thoughts. You may recall on the plans and in the field, a big rock outcropping in here. That has been hammered and I think they applied for blasting the rest of it, but I don't know or have an update on that. That's probably be handled by the fire department. But I do understand they were doing a pre-blast survey in the neighborhood. They've stripped the entire road through here, this road. They have a stockpile of material now that varies from sand to 3/4 to a mix to riprap, and they're keeping the site really well organized. They hauled in last week a lot of fill, because as you recall, there's a lot of fill that goes in on this road. There's only one section here of cut, and then a lot more of it was fill. In the review process, I actually made a recommendation, and they changed the vertical alignment, so they cut some of the fill out, but still a lot of fill that is needed. So nothing is going to go off of this site. More will have to be brought on. They began excavation today of this pond over here. They dug some test holes last week. The test holes looked like there wasn't going to be water. Today, when they open it up, the water's right at the bottom. So it looks like they are going to get their wet pond after all. I didn't think they were according to the test pits, but that came from somebody else's eyes. They're going to complete the road. They're going to use either this unit 1 or 2 for their model. They're going to complete the road and push real hard to do so next week, getting all the infrastructure, the water, the sewer, drainage and everything in up to about Station 4. And then they're going to put binder on this road up to that point as well. So they have a nice clean site here. They'll do some landscaping and everything else
For their marketing
for their
purposes.
marketing. They've got a marketing trailer sitting right here. They've got their construction trailer sitting next to it. They have their construction road in here to take off some of this sediment and stuff, so we're not tracking out on the road.
I would like a little bit of sweeping, because there is some traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
So just, maybe the rain's coming, but when we didn't have rain for a while, it was got a little.
Getting a little dusty.
But I think the cobble, I mean, it has taken the majority of it.
Mhm.
Considering how much traffic, there's very little compared to.
There's a ton of trucks coming in.
That's
and
what I'm
out.
saying, compared to
Phil last
the
week.
traffic, it's very little.
Yeah.
But it's still something that we required the dust to be. Minimum.
The parking lot, the 65 space parking lot
That's been
is
paved, right?
paved,
Yeah.
top course and lined. Looks real nice. The pro shop, haven't been inside, but the outside and the landscaping, the little wall they did around it, the drop off area is wonderful.
I actually did go inside and they did a very nice job.
It's a big improvement in that
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
I mean,
And Ralph wanted me to come in today, but I just didn't have
I went down
time
to the
go in.
basement where he has the locker rooms, and boy, it's nice. He's really cleaned it up. Really.
Compared to what
really
was
nice.
there.
Yeah.
Mr. Thornton lives about right there.
Oh, over here, yeah.
Yeah.
Are
Okay.
you right on the golf course?
I'm right behind the first tee.
Hmm?
Yeah.
So you get
I'm Larry Graham.
Larry, Chris Thornton. Pleasure to meet you, Larry.
Have we had any complaints from residents about, you know, the trucks or anything?
Yes.
I've had none, but.
Yes,
trees.
lots of complaints on Daniels and Dodge. They've died down a bit now. The police department told me that they cannot enforce those speed limits that have been put up, only the developer can. And so it seems like that's working. The developer's making sure that all his workers know that they have to be
5 miles an
traveling
hour.
slow.
15.
Some complaints that the trucks are only coming
The
down
turtle.
Dodge and not Daniels. And then we have had complaints from abutters for the pre-blasting survey. They were upset. They
I
said,
think it was
thought
more
this
they
was
just
a
wanted to be
last
informed. That's-
Well, they thought,
Well,
they
I
said,
didn't
well, I
think-
thought this was a
Yes.
last resort and it looks like they're doing it, but I said, it doesn't mean they're going to be blasting. They're doing a survey first, just in case they have to blast, because the fire chief told me they hadn't applied for a blasting permit at that time, but they may have now.
I don't know,
That was
They
my
have a-
question, because I didn't think that they thought that they would have to blast, but now they think they might.
Yeah, they've hammered this thing till the cows came home,
Well,
and
that in
it's
itself
tough.
what is it, bluestone or something like that?
It's just legend,
It's-
whatever you want to call it.
Because we, you know, the pump house, the water treatment plant, they ran into a lot of ledge, and they're doing that, and my house is like 1,000 feet from there, but you can, so I'm sure the
Yeah.
neighbors must be.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure, I don't have an update as to whether or not they actually are going to blast, but I think, I mean,
There's guidelines
These
for the
guys
fire
are-
department, there's state guidelines.
and they're right on top of it by doing the pre-blast survey to get it done. I mean, everything that I see going on out here
It's by the book.
is by the book, but also programmed. I mean, there's
They've been
reasons.
pretty methodical. I couldn't
Very
believe how
methodical.
quickly they moved in
Yeah.
there, and only because I have that bird's eye view of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised when they broke ground in February, and they have done it
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
So you
transformed
have
the
that
place
first
already.
house and you have the first team?
I'm the second house up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, well,
Every-
depending on how you look at
Every
it,
day I have to go to
it's-
Triton to pick up my son, and I pass it, and
Yeah.
every single day, they're, you know,
something new.
the club's there one day, the club's gone the next day, it just.
You know,
Yeah, I go by there
one thing I
all
will
the time.
comment on, and again, this is, I feel a little conflicted in saying this because of my proximity to the golf course. The lighting on the parking lot that serves the clubhouse, they've got one box light that is so bright, and that's all. It's a single light. It seems like that. I mean,
It might be in a construction phase, I wouldn't look
Yeah,
at
is
that.
that permanent?
I don't. Well, it looks like.
I wouldn't assume it's permanent yet.
And the planning board didn't have any authority over making
Well,
changes in
no.
that parking
No,
lot.
but we can make recommendations, as Cliff knows, we ask for full cutoffs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's got two lights out there that are, well, particularly the one that illuminates the parking lot. I mean, you can play football out there
Yeah.
at 2 in the morning. Seems a little unnecessary. And then there's a security light over the
Put up basketball.
clubhouse that faces the fairway. Why that needs to be on all night.
Could be to protect the construction.
There's
It
a,
faces the fairway, not the construction.
yeah, but there's a difference during construction phase, as Larry knows.
Yeah.
Because a lot of equipment is left out there, from a security standpoint, I wouldn't extrapolate that.
I'll take a look at it, Chris,
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
good,
and
yeah.
see. I may or may not say anything to him at this point, but I'll try to keep
Yeah,
it.
That's fine, again, I'm not really,
See what its
I'm not-
permanent use is, what its
Yeah.
permanent.
Yeah.
Could I ask a question about this first building that they're hoping to get in quick?
Yeah.
Were you expecting them to be in line for an occupancy permit this quick?
Well, I don't know how that works. Was I expecting, what do you
They
mean?
may
Because I
run-
thought there was requirements that had to be met before the first occupancy permit, like the conservation restriction had to be accepted by the state.
This-
I'm pretty sure, I don't have that
this may
listed.
not
No,
be
I
an
thought we gave
occupancy.
them
Well,
a
that's
few.
where
It's not
I'm
an
going with
occu-
that.
it's not an
This is-
occupancy.
Yeah.
It's not an occupancy.
Maybe a
No, well, you
temporary.
would need an occupancy permit to have it as a model home if people are going in.
I don't know if you do.
No, I don't.
Really?
Yeah, you might,
No,
you
no,
might
I
just need a
can-
temporary. I mean, there's no one living there,
right.
so
Oh,
it might be some kind of temporary or something.
All right, I don't wanna get bogged down in that till we know more. So I wanna go on with
No,
the
maybe
agenda
it'll
or
be
any
an
more
occupancy.
information.
Oh, can I just ask a question? Any, this isn't your bailiwick,
No.
but any word on the CR, how that's progressing?
no word.
No word?
The state.
I mean, where is it? Toward the state?
But we figured 6 months, it is
Yeah, right.
approaching.
So we're still waiting for the state to react.
Actually, Ralph said to me he thought that was coming through in June. but,
Would-
Oh, so 6
Would
months.
you,
yeah.
Why don't you call,
do you want,
Jill?
does the board want Katrina to get an update from Jill if possible?
It's only gonna be, I
Or
haven't
within
heard
our
from
next,
her.
maybe by our next meeting or
Yeah.
something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good to keep asking about it.
All right, yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of a broad
Good.
overview. This drain is in before they want to get the course open, so this drain is in. This is a drain that runs back through and drains the pond.
Yeah.
That's the overflow for the pond. So that's kind of an overview, and I couldn't be, well, the two construction projects that are going on right now, this and Raleigh Village Green, which I can also run through the, little, another overview for you if you'd like.
I was gonna ask a
Doing
question.
quite well, doing quite well.
That's good.
They have a model ready to go too, don't they?
Well, it's not ready, they're
Getting ready.
they're trying to get it ready, yeah.
Katrina, have they resolved any outstanding issues with the Conservation Commission
Who?
that Wendover had? Ron.
Oh, you mean the stormwater? They got their stormwater permit. Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yep, they've got it.
And they had,
Yep, and Larry did the work for that, and he's
Yeah.
all paid.
cool. I just I knew that was ongoing, I just hadn't heard from Brent or from anyone.
Right, I'm gonna actually be talking about that process too later on when we talk about rules and regs.
All right,
I
thanks.
didn't see it on your agenda, but you want an overview of Raleigh Village Green?
Sure.
Same kind
I
of
took these
deal?
this morning.
While you're here.
Is that the wall?
Yeah, the
Before you're
wall
dismissed?
and the
not
buildings,
quite
they're
dismissed.
even painted. These are horrible pictures, I apologize, but
Thanks
My
for
printer.
taking.
I drive by quite frequently, so
it's amazing. This is the back of the abutter that,
I see it the last meeting.
yeah, the,
Okay.
My God, you guys,
The last meeting, yeah.
the wall is beautiful. It's
Again.
massive.
Yeah, a very nice, project as far as keeping things neat, orderly, methodical, and the way they're going about things. All three of these infiltration systems are in. They're quite unusual. Working right now to eliminate this cut through the woods and drain this over to here, eliminate one cut through the woods. I talked to you about the couple of pine trees. They're back in this area here. The road is stripped, cut in all the way. The water line is in all the way back to the last hydrant, which is somewhere back in here. The pictures, as Katrina said, the wall they've been working on for about a week now. All the bottom 42-inch courses are in place, and they're pretty well right up to grade now with the 24-inch block. So they'll be finishing that on up. This drain is in through the wall now. None of the other drainages are complete, but a number of the catch basins, or excuse me, the manholes associated with these infiltration basins are in.
So they still have ongoing mitigation measures?
Not much. I mean, they're doing what, they got their hay bale silt
That's what I
fence, they
meant, so
keep,
that's a good-
yeah, they
okay.
keep all that
That's
up.
what I meant by
Yeah.
mitigation, yeah.
Keep all that up, they've got the no cut right along the woods, right where the,
Yeah, because until
Where
that's
it's
built,
shown.
they,
yeah, it runs right along this tree line right
So you
there.
don't see signs of sedimentation on it?
Um,
Sediment leaving the site?
This duplex is pretty well
Complete.
done. Yeah, that's the one I guess they'll probably want to put their model in.
We got models tonight.
Framing and roof, framed, roof sided, trimmed out. Electrician's been working in there that I've
After the
noticed.
winter, how about some of the various size the plantings?
I haven't looked at it since the winter.
Give it a few weeks until.
Well, I think the trigger is not the winter. I think it's a year,
Yeah.
if I remember right.
When were they put in?
They were put in late fall,
Okay.
November, I
All
think.
right.
This building is under construction, as is this triplex here. So these three buildings are under construction. I think that's about it.
And again, there's no signs of sediment out on Main Street.
Some
There's been a
track.
couple of times, I think, that Katrina's had a call and they've gotten right with it and cleaned it up.
Good.
So.
There was
Do you have any problems?
a broken something gate, and they went right out and fixed it.
Yeah, it was a water gate valve, I think,
Yeah.
where they tapped the line.
And you have no problem with sight lines and stuff?
No, that's been cleared. That's
Cool.
been cleared.
It's okay.
There was a feature for the Concom, a little level spreader that's been put in. They do park right in here. You've seen their gravel parking, so they park
Yeah.
some construction vehicles
Now,
here.
since Chris brought
They got
up
their
lighting,
camera
have there
here.
been any complaints from neighbors about lights, construction lights?
Well, there was the initial complaint, but I think that was resolved by explaining to them that that was not a,
Oh, the one on the
light.
pole?
yeah, that's
yeah.
not a permanent light. That was for
The
construction.
one that was wired up on the existing pole?
And somehow the lights that were approved for this project too are the wrong lights, and the light department, just straighten them out. They have a meeting, and
Okay.
so maybe we wanna get a copy of their,
So again,
Approved
this,
lights.
I've got good communication going on between myself and the contractor, Pandalina. Good communication going on between Steve Mastis and myself. And Steve has been, he's done wonders with this abutter right here, and I know he intends to go back and either fence this for them or pull this little pond edge that we talked about at the last meeting back
Yeah.
and either fence it or.
He's been sensitive to the initial concerns of that abutter, which,
He's been fantastic, so.
maybe he wants to take over Cursak.
For whatever reason.
Not enough
Good
money
God.
to-
That's
I
good to
may
know.
as well add it, this wasn't on the agenda, but I have been discussing the affordable housing, that's a required part of this with their attorney, and Steve has hired an attorney, and we're meeting, I think tomorrow, to go over the timeline for the affordable housing plan. I talked to the town administrator, and she said to just use the housing plan that we used in West Ox Pasture.
the template that we have.
Right, because there's a affordable housing committee created for that, and we don't really have to have the housing committee again. We'll just use their parameters, such as, Raleigh residents and who gets first priority for which units, et cetera. And so, the developer's right on top of that too.
All right,
Good.
thank you. Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Larry, any other comments before? I guess I just need to, do you have anything to say about Turcot Drive? We're trying, that the compliance issues have been satisfied?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with the latest submission of the as-built, which was revised to.
Sorry, that's number 6, 8 Turcot.
Yeah.
They want to,
Attachment K.
that attachment K, they would like a certification that project's been built according to planning board requirement.
So their as-built plan was updated per my request to show the line parking, 58 parking spaces. They're only required 54. They explained a little thing I didn't understand in the parking lot, a little employee break area. They recorded their 2 approvals and sent the recording information, book and page. And
Again, this is in attachment K.
Yeah.
So.
and they did the catch basin cleaning back in November, I believe, and sent approvals or the paid receipts for that. So
And the
very happy.
DEP, again, those are in attachment, all those receipts are there too as proof, so.
And I just got your latest invoices, you didn't include anything for Turcot, I just realized.
It probably is coming next month because it's.
There will be something though?
There will be probably a very small amount.
Okay, and then if it's closed out, I was hoping the board could finalize it by taking a vote, saying that it's
That's what I'm
done.
about to say next.
Oh, okay.
That's fine, no, just, yeah, because this is some, just as an aside, Katrina and I have spoken about maybe, trying to get more of a formalized process through any
Right.
review of our rules and regs and so forth, so that not so much a checklist we have through our conditions, but so that when we take a formal vote and she sends a form or a letter, right now it's gonna be a letter, but there might be actually a form we'll come up with or something.
I would think that owners would like something to record at the registry, so that when they sell, the person buying says, well, was this ever closed out?
It's a clean title.
Right, and plus, we want to get back the consultant funds. Well, we should want them.
Sure.
No,
Well, it's a prerequisite in the formal request because it's there.
Wouldn't the acceptance of the road indicate the completion of the project?
There's no road on this
Yeah,
one.
this is
It's
a
just a
site.
site plan
Yeah.
Ah, I see,
project.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
In many cases, that can be true.
Yeah, well, it's-
But then
It's
again,
different requirements.
but then again, we also work with other boards. You might have outstanding orders and conditions from the
Concom, sure.
Concom.
yeah, right.
And there might even be some special permits from the Board of Select, so this kind of says that, we ought to work in concert with all the other boards.
So what you're proposing then is some sort of a formal process of closing out a.
Right.
I'm getting ahead, I don't
Yeah.
wanna get.
Yeah, sure, but that makes
But,
sense.
yeah, on this
Yeah.
one, I'm hoping for the board to consider voting to not only finalize it, but to give back the balance of the funds with interest after we get our last bill and have the last bill paid. So we can really wrap this whole project up.
Right, when the conditions have been satisfied, and Larry, as you have noted that they have been,
Yes.
so can I have a motion to send a letter to the applicant that certifies the project been built?
I make a motion that we do exactly what Katrina.
Katrina said, to send a letter by Katrina to the applicant which certifies that the project has been built according to all planning board
Yeah,
requirements.
and it'll be from the board. I would think
And-
the board would be taking a vote.
Okay,
So
and then when the board's consultant, the review engineer, gets paid for the last invoice, concomitantly, any remaining bond monies would be returned.
And then the next meeting, or whenever,
And-
I'll update the board and fill
And then,
them in.
you're right, and the update to the account,
So
So
I'll
that's kind of
second
an-
David's
And
motion.
second.
Second.
with the filling, all right.
Yeah,
Second by
with the filling.
Jim, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
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 Thanks a lot, Larry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, sir.
On B, everybody, by next meeting or maybe thereafter, if anybody doesn't have a copy, they obviously do through the town website or hard copies. Start reading them and maybe give them some thought. I know.
Bye.
see you, Larry.
Thanks.
Take care, Larry.
Maybe they've been reading them all along.
No,
Read
but
read them
reading-
again.
Start reading.
Um,
I'm hoping.
I just want-
Looking at the ones that we-
Katrina has, the board, she's recommending, and I think that we just look at, and I think it's also incumbent at some periodic timetable for the board to look at them, that they get revised or reorganized, if need be. But one of the things, and it doesn't have to be done in one, it's kind of like, the government, the grand bargain doesn't seem to work too well, does it? So, it may be, we can prioritize in which sections we need to do more expeditiously. And one of those priorities that seems to keep coming up, and that we wrestled with during the recession time from 2007 to the present, was that all site plan review applications are $1,000 plus $200 for a special permit, and site plan obviously goes with NES, is required for all special permit applications. So we might want to discuss different levels of fees, especially in the context that during town meeting, we might be taking over what the permanent granting authority for what signs.
Illuminated signs.
Signs.
Yes.
So do you want to do the fee schedule for signs? Is it by square footage like other towns do?
I have a list
so-
here, just a quick list that the planning board.
a
Why don't
recommendation.
we print out the list of recommendations. Everybody read the rules and regs, and let's have a meeting that is dedicated
That's what I want to do.
to
To just that.
this alone.
I want to devote like 45 minutes to an hour, but only when we're ready to have some serious, that.
It seems to me what we should be looking at is what other towns charge. And seems to me should be part of the process, so.
Without a doubt,
It seems
Ipswich.
to me there was an analysis done by someone, of this. Did you ever run across that, or was it?
Fee structure,
Yeah.
well, in the different towns I've worked in, I've seen all different ways, and planning boards look at different types of projects for site plan review. Some planning boards look at accessory in-laws and some residential.
Right.
This planning board really just looks at commercial and business, except for that large, over 5,000 square foot residential building. So you could break it into residential, commercial, but then, or you could base it on how many parking spaces are required, and that kind of gauges how big, not necessarily the building size, but how many employees. There's different ways.
Yeah, I know a town, I get charged sometimes based on not only square footage, but also a ratio of the amount of work we're doing versus what the
Oh, the building
property
permit
is.
cost?
Yeah, I mean, what it's,
It's
the
all-
magnitude, in other words, the magnitude of the project.
That's the fairest way if you can determine a magnitude, because, or you assume a magnitude. If it expands, then you have to expand the fee to cover the cost, just like we're doing. Yes.
And that helps also indicate, the burden on town services and so forth.
I was going to suggest to the board that this next rules and regs change, we do kind of a quick one, because it has to be done within the next 2 or 3 months, so that we can get that revised fee structure in place. We don't want to waste having a public hearing, so there's a couple more that I'd like to do in this first one, and then really spend the time to totally revise the rules and regs, maybe at a later date, but at least get
That way it's more surgical and,
these small
yeah.
changes done in this next
Do
one.
we have to be approved?
You need one public hearing.
It's very easy.
We
Doesn't
don't
go to the
town-
Attorney
We don't go
General.
to town meeting on it.
Doesn't go to town meeting, the Attorney General.
Town
It's
clerk
like
and
we have home
registry
rule,
of
right?
deeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We have home-
the quick list,
Oh,
if-
even setting fees?
Why don't you just type it up and send it
Yeah.
out, though?
well, you don't want me to go through it?
No,
Okay.
No,
No.
I want you to write
because
a
it's much more efficient.
No, because I want you to write a memo, and I want to discuss it. I want to devote time, as David said, to, I agree with you that we need to phase and prioritize and set a public hearing date.
Right now, our
Yes.
schedule isn't what we call heavy.
No, because the
No.
largest projects are ongoing, yeah.
Well, I could
But that's gonna change. Again,
I don't
I could
want
volunteer to come up with, because you have to now set a schedule, for meeting, and I would think you would want some kind of draft ready so that you can talk about it. That's why I kind of wanted to go through the list,
No, no.
is,
to put it in memo form, please, and send it to us.
well, do you want me to start working on a draft then, or
Yes,
just do
yes,
nothing?
sure. I think you're smart to work on a draft, because
Do
that
you want me
way,
to do a draft of these items?
yes.
Or get the
Yes.
Okay,
facts
without looking at it?
like Cliff is
Can you
talking
just-
about, what
Yeah,
the
you
other
can
towns
generate. Do
do.
you want to hear it? Sure.
If you could just say what the subjects are.
Yeah, the
I mean,
subjects.
Yeah, it's quick. Stormwater bylaw, right now, we don't have any way to let an applicant know that there's a quicker way to get the stormwater permit. So we need that right in our application, and so the application needs a little change there.
Clarification.
We need solar photovoltaic requirements, because soon we will be allowing solar photovoltaic. There's no regulations concerning it. We're going to rely on our rules and regs for parking, et cetera. That may take a little more research.
That's
knowing-
going to take, because
We
That
gotta-
may-
you have to
we
remember,
do it.
you have to remember that we don't have as much home rule in that. You really can't, from what I've looked into, from a federal and state standpoint, we have only a certain amount of oversight.
Right,
that
just
we're allowed that.
parking,
We can't,
Well,
fencing,
but
we
lighting.
can't utilize our regs to prohibit it.
No,
Based on,
we can reasonably regulate
That's
it though. according to-
Screening?
yeah, that's what I'm saying, but you can't
Parking.
prohibit
Right.
it, based, yeah.
Right.
And then
They're
this
allowed.
one, we definitely have to include it, because town council recommended it, the retaining the ownership in the roadway,
Yeah,
in
that's a good idea.
subdivisions.
She did basically.
I also would
That's a-
recommend
that's a
that
big-
the
that's a
board
big one.
include
They
requiring.
still won't do it, but we should have something on the book.
This is a very big one that the board doesn't have, and that it really should, is a construction completion date for all subdivisions. And it should be written right in case, just so if everyone forgets to have them write it in the plan or even the decision, at least it's in the rules and regs that there will be a 2-year construction complete, or 3-year.
No, I disagree.
You have to have a
Mr.
construction
No,
completion
if
date.
it's, other towns have it.
But,
Do other towns have that in their rules and regs?
yeah. And the planning board
Oh, is
doesn't.
it-
And,
They do?
Yeah.
well,
I've
there
never
are
been-
some
I've never been.
cases where it would totally be appropriate.
I think it's appropriate, I mean, I'm just playing the devil's advocate
Because.
because,
My head and I wasn't even here.
Well, I think,
Sorry.
But
I
what-
think you would say unless extended by the planning board.
Yeah, I've been-
Put it this
You're
way,
right.
what
Right,
right
because-
would we have to take surety
Um,
if there was no construction completion date? Then the developer could say, I'm gonna take 50 years to finish this. And so we need an ending, and we need.
but there has to be
and then you
mechanisms like
extend
there
it.
are in Conservation Commission for extensions and so
Right,
forth and so forth.
exactly. You extend it,
With
you keep
due,
extending
with
it,
due cause.
and then if you think there's reason not to extend it, you say, we're not extending it, you finish or we take the money. And we don't have that right now.
Again,
All right.
okay,
Mm. I think that's a good point.
it's what, it's a good point.
And then just
I mean, if they're both
It's a
valid points,
complicated,
certainly we should,
it's a
it's
great-
something we should be doing, but
it's a great,
likewise, if
it's
other
a
towns
great,
aren't doing it,
right.
then we don't wanna put ourselves
It's a
at
great point, but a
disadvantage.
complicated issue, and I would just make sure.
Right.
There are so many things that cause
If the
delays in
economy is
construction.
bad.
Keep going, I wanna,
It's,
keep going.
and just, this is the last one, just a closeout process for site plan review and special permit, so that we can,
Yeah, that's great.
tie it up with a bow and put the file away and not have all these open projects in the office.
No, and also, a lot of what you mentioned is also helpful to developers.
Yeah, yeah.
All
One
right.
thing I will say,
So-
you mentioned some sort of a closeout certificate to be filed at the registry of deeds. I'm certain that no other town does anything similar to that.
No, it's just a
Yeah,
letter.
I was gonna say, we never get, real estate lawyers coming in here saying, I have a closing, I need a certificate
Yeah, right.
from the planning board.
No, you never do. I
But
mean,
that's not
we're
really.
lucky we get
no,
a
but
certificate of
that-
compliance
that's
on
not-
an
that's-
order of conditions.
No, but that's not really true. It's analogous to a certificate of compliance.
Right.
Why, when you have home rule with we now have a local wetlands bylaw, which again, is approved by Attorney General, but it overlaps with the state administrative
Sure.
function of a conservation commission. And also when you look at the functions that a building inspector has for a closeout of a project, that we're just trying to do something analogous. We are also a board that sets stringent, specific engineering and scheduling and phasing conditions and public safety conditions.
Oh, I think it would make
But
absolute sense to do it. and
Since
to
we
say-
do the same thing,
Yeah.
but in a different way, we're more narrative, what is it, order of conditions is more a list, but it's very similar, it's analogous.
Truthfully, I really
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
it would be
what?
better for the board, not the applicant necessarily, to be able to close it out. It's because things can be forgotten, and someone forgets that there's 2 requirements left that haven't been met. And, it's 10 years old, the
And board
plan
shit.
has
People
changed,
come
the
and go on
board
the board.
changes, and then it never gets done. This way, if we hold something back and say, you're not gonna get your money until you close it out, it'll be them coming to us trying to close it out.
Yeah, sometimes they don't seem to care about their money though, that's another
I know.
story.
Cliff Pierce makes a very valid point. Katrina and I go back and forth on this sometimes, because there is a processes in place. There's a presumption, and you know as lawyers, there's a presumption that the developer knows the rules and regs, and there's a presumption that if there's any surety or any agreements that where there's a partial release needs to take place, as some do. What is good, it happens to us all the time. Some do it and some don't, like you said, And so, why are we making exceptions for those that don't? You know what I mean? A lot of people do it. Even though some of these projects, you're right, take 20 years to finish.
Right.
They go on and on and on.
I guess I'd just like to see things closed up.
Okay,
For the
and
office.
also based on the fact that, and I'm
They
gonna
don't
se-
get close.
I'm gonna segue into this, but very briefly, because I wanna do the minutes and get out of here by 9. That Katrina has made some, I'm gonna skip to number 5.
Okay.
That she's also looked at what other towns do, and can you give a very brief synopsis of what you're trying to achieve here?
And why the font is so small in this. Okay, this is the technical consultant account?
Yeah.
All right, I don't know if anyone was able to look through it, but I did create a new spreadsheet.
It's attachment I.
H?
No, I. H, sorry. No, I was the filing. I wanted to do them both together, you know?
Okay, H and I,
H
H and I.
Yeah.
Well, this is the consultant fund. And if you look at the spreadsheet I created, and this one isn't in the order of how old some are, but if you go to the last page, you'll see, all right, Meeting House Village. The last time that we took
No,
funds out of there was
I
19.
don't want to devolve into a lot of detail on the spreadsheet.
Oh,
I
okay.
want you to give a general synopsis of what you're trying to achieve. People can, and why, no, why it's necessary in a general.
Okay, why it's necessary, if you go to page 3, you will see that there
I
is,
don't want specific
there's
names
some-
mentioned or anything, yeah.
okay.
No, I'm just saying, I don't want to get into specific names of projects, I want to talk
Okay,
in general.
There are some accounts that haven't been touched in
Thank you.
years and
Right.
years. And so what I would like to do is sit down with the town treasurer, town accountant, just get some feedback on what we should do with all this old money. It doesn't hurt us to have a lot of money in our consultant fund, that way we'll never use it all up. But, and it's impossible to give some of it back too, it sits there. And so I guess I'm going to meet with them first, get feedback from them, and then come back to the board with what they recommend. And the board may want to think about having me work on giving some of it back, you know, finalizing some of these projects, and also just creating rules so that we close out the projects, and that's what we already talked about. This is really just an update, and I don't think the board realized how much money is in this. There's 60,000 right now, and there's only 10 projects of about 3 pages of projects that are even active. All the rest of the money just sits there.
Okay, but I also, now segue to why we have more control, you know, a revolving account versus the situation that we have now.
Oh, why don't you?
No, just what you've looked at in terms of having more control of selectmen, you know, in terms of giving us more flexibility in how we expend
Oh, you mean the
money.
revolving account?
Right.
Okay,
That's
this
what I
is something separate.
Yeah.
And this, the town administrator was all set to put this on the town warrant. There wasn't enough time, it ended up, you know, they closed the warrant, so this is something that we could do at possibly the fall or next spring town meeting, is create a revolving account for the planning board, so that all our filing fees, which we'll be revising soon, will be deposited into it, and then we can pay our legal ads, postage comes out of it, etc., so that we don't have to keep dipping into the expense account this year, and that's something on the agenda.
Isn't there a separate fee for legal ads?
No, the legal ads, the planning board has done it differently through the years. Sometimes the legal ads were paid out of the technical consultant fund. Sometimes they were paid out of expenses, and now lately.
You're talking about our own legal ads for our own stuff that we do.
No, this is for
For projects?
projects. Yeah, they've been paid all different ways, and I don't know if the rules and regs have changed or just policy
Typically, we were
has
trying
changed.
to,
They should pay for it.
we were trying to get to the point where it was direct billing from.
And now they pay for it directly.
Right.
So they pay for it
And
directly,
who are we advertising with now?
town common.
Okay.
So this is, and the board doesn't have to take any action on this. This was written when I was hoping to get it in before town meeting. But we can just think about it for next town meeting.
And can you elaborate too, that there will be some parameters the selectmen would have some say?
Right, and so limits on spending, a cap on it. Right now, if we got $1,000 for every site plan and special permit, we would have too much money in there. And we wouldn't have anything to spend it on. And so there should be a cap on it, but we're gonna be revising our fees also. Right now, we ask for $1,000 and then ask the applicant to go and pay the legal ad too. I think we're definitely
That's what our rules and
different
regs
change.
say.
I think they should pay the legal ad because it's a very definitive thing
That's
and
what
they
most towns
understand
do,
it. And
yeah.
that's what they do.
But you're supposed to be able to explain what the fee is for that you're,
No.
you're
Then give them a
receiving.
breakdown, but that's typical at other times. I agree with you.
Mostly for technical
I have to
review,
pay.
isn't it?
Technical, and that's also, we have the right to have them pay for, a consulting review as well.
Right,
All right,
next.
I think this is a great, Katrina, I mean, there's been a lot of research, and returning to the planner's point about having 60,000, in a list of maybe old, like Cliff, but I think Cliff made a good point, though,
They don't even exist anymore.
Sure.
Cliff, it's not our fault that people don't come forward
They
and
won't
make
come
them.
forward because,
So, Katrina, I mean,
they'll
that's what I'm
only-
saying.
they'll be asked to finish the curbs.
It's not the planning
Or
board's
something else.
yeah.
job to track everyone down to
Right,
come back
and so
for
when, after I talk with
$126
the,
that's left in the.
after I talk with the treasurer and accountant, I'm gonna come back, give their recommendations, and then the board can decide what to do.
Right, it just seems kind of this amorphous money that, either we use it for some good purpose or give it back,
Well, I
Sure.
think we have to give it back.
That's what I have to get, that's what I'm saying, it just, yeah.
The problem is,
Revolving
given
accounts.
how many accounts or applications account for that $60,000?
A few.
A lot.
So the problem is that you'd spend
Can
nearly that much to figure out who gets what portion back.
Right, exactly.
You know, so
We only have Katrina for 20 hours a week, so we gotta keep that in context.
Well, that's-
And some of these entities don't exist anymore.
But what I would say is, it seems like a closeout process at the end of these things would help resolve those accounts
Or just
going forward.
moving forward,
Right.
maybe
That's what I've
forget
always
about the
told her,
old.
let's start at a point A and make sure that we're clean. And then
Going forward, yeah.
Yeah,
The attachment, Jay, we had a shortfall in the, I just need a vote that we're basically just transferring like we did last year from the consultant account 01-175-5210, 000 to the planning board expense line item. Has to be done at town meeting, to the planning board expense account. Our expense account has been flat for year after year after year, which is why I want to get more flexibility with the other fees, but, it's like 2,600. When Katrina came in, she had to, basically.
The big filing cabinet was the
That's what I
big
mean.
expense, and the
The-
pictometry kills us.
Yeah, the pictometry and also a lateral filing cabinet, the size that she bought was a big one, so. And it all comes out of that $2,600. So we need to transfer, the consultant account has more than enough money towards the end of the fiscal year to transfer over, so I just need a motion to transfer 600 over. That would pay,
I've actually been paying for the legal ads
they're approved.
and for expenses from December on, and so I will be reimbursed for some of that.
reimbursed for cell phone usage, legal ads, mileage, and office expenses, as well as paid for the Verizon Centrix bills for the rest of FY13, which we've been kind of eking along, but we're coming near the end now anyways.
And
'Cause
just
it's
to
ma-
explain, because I didn't know last fall, in case no one knows how this is done, there's a transfer you can do, and you can't do it until May 1st. And you can transfer from one account to another. I didn't know, I know they told me I could transfer it, they didn't tell me I had to wait till May 1st, and that's why there's a shortfall. I wouldn't have spent all that money if I didn't, if I
Well,
knew
now
we
we,
had to
now we
wait
know the
until
process
May.
better, so.
Right.
Can I have a motion? Just to-
Make a motion to transfer 600
600,
from
yeah.
planning consultant line to the expense line.
It's not a permit, it's a one-time transfer.
second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Katrina, for putting that in there, because May 1st is coming up. Minutes, please. February 27th.
Looks good to me.
I only have one thing.
Since I was in
It was,
there, I shut my mouth about those.
on page 3, I think, there's a little, last paragraph.
So bad you guys don't know anything.
Lauren updates the board and says,
Yeah, you were at least there.
second sentence, he has been in communication.
Slow down, Gene, just so we're getting David up to speed.
No.
You're making
I
some-
Where is
read
it?
it on, I did read it online.
Page 3
Okay.
of the minutes.
And excommunicated.
Yeah, last paragraph, second sentence, he has been it's communication with,
I missed that one.
I know.
That's not like you.
I always look,
Ah,
I always looked at Cliff for these.
And again, this is
I'm not
attach,
even in English, maybe.
Yeah.
thanks, Gene, that's attachment G.
I saw you.
Wait until I tell you, I'll tell you after.
I don't
Okay.
remember where I saw something, but somebody, you called John Moore
Is
and
it-
John Neve in some
That's it.
communication. I
Yeah,
don't know if
she does
it's in the meeting
So it starts
minutes or
here.
not.
John, oh, look at
Gotcha.
that, John Moore, an engineer with
It's
Navy
it's
Bar.
okay.
Then you
Oh,
open
okay.
up with
There
a
was
public
someplace
hearing.
early in
We
the.
have
No, it
some
should be
public
John
hearings.
Levy.
And so you'll see the
John Moore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I'm just showing Chris the
Navy
format.
Now the meetings
But
are,
it- on some document I
We didn't
saw,
vote yet
Format,
on
a nice
this.
format that she uses.
I guess, was that it?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any other changes first? Gene's changes are incorporated? You
Yes.
have those, Katrina?
Yep.
Any other data? Click, no more? All right. Make the
I,
motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. I did it already.
I know, David. I. Good job, Katrina.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we
Unanimous.
sign expenses, I believe.
Gene and I have already signed them, so,
Yeah.
So we need-
So,
Katrina, have we heard from Judy Pickett about the zoning bylaws?
no, in fact, tomorrow I'll probably be speaking with her.
Oh, okay. She
Today I
didn't
was
take this
over
long.
helping
Cliff,
with formatting and font.
In an emergency,
changes.
can he sign expenses or no?
Yeah.
all right, can I have a motion, any other
All I need
business?
is 3 signatures. so you
Okay.
don't have to do it.
Katrina, any other business?
Let me just look through.
I usually get a phone
We didn't
call
skip
if
through
I
anything,
need
right?
uh-huh.
No.
You can
I
come down,
was
sign, sign.
trying to be
Railroad
methodical,
Avenue's close.
Yes, I
based on
think
your
we're all
organized
How
set.
many did you have,
presentation.
2?
David,
Why?
Yep, just two.
do you have any other questions pertaining to the business this evening? Or do you
No,
want a motion
my
to
big
adjourn?
My big meeting that was conflicting.
Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up.
It's been changed to Thursday nights, so I don't have a conflict.
Oh, I'm glad, that's why I was thinking of you. David
I was thinking of
typically
you.
could not meet on the second Wednesday of, but now you can.
Yes.
So I wanted to set the next meeting before we adjourn, what was it?
May 15th?
May 15th, is that all right for people?
We can celebrate my birthday.
Okay,
No, it's
so the
not.
15th of May.
May 15.
Hey, I'm
Thank you very much. A
I
motion
only
to-
have that other conflict, which I can usually make it here by the time of the meeting. which
Thank
is
you
the
for
last
bringing that.
Wednesday.
Thank you for doing that, Dave. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Nate.
Good meeting.